Hi guys, my name is Deidre Alize. If you're new here, if you're not, again, welcome. So today I wanted to do a video for you guys that I'm gonna introduce to my channel called a nurse chat. So I chose for my first nurse chat today to be about tips I think would be helpful for new grad nurses and also just new nurses in general. Even if you didn't just graduate, but you're just entering the workforce as a nurse. I thought this video would be really helpful for you guys, and just to give some pointers of what I've learned over the past year of being a nurse. So before we get into this video, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned. All right, so first tip I want all new nurses to know, and I think this is not just new nurses, but this is also nurses that are entering maybe a new specialty or a new job. At first, you're gonna be very overwhelmed, and you're gonna be nervous, and that's completely fine, that's completely normal. Everybody goes through that. I still go through that to this day. Like, I still get nervous. I still get like, you know, anxious, because as a nurse, you never know what type of shift you're going to be coming into. You never know what kind of patients you're going to have, what has happened during day shift if you're a night shift nurse, or what has happened during night shift if you're a day shift nurse. You just never know. So that, for me, not knowing always gave me anxiety. Now it's gotten a little bit better, but I definitely still deal with that. And it's completely normal. So don't think that you're, you know, out of the normal, or you're not as competent as the other nurses just because you're anxious or you're overwhelmed. But I think something to help with that is basically affirming yourself and your abilities, making sure that, you know, if you have questions, you can ask someone, whether it is the charge nurse or it is someone that you work with that has more experience than you, or a friend. When in doubt, as a nurse, always phone a friend. Always phone a friend. Don't just go into something if you're anxious or you're overwhelmed or you're unsure. Make sure that you phone a friend, and that definitely helps. Tip number 2 is use your resources wisely. As to hit on what I just said in the last tip, you are going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to know everything. No one knows everything, and there's always something to learn as a nurse. But most facilities do provide resources to help nurses, whether you're experienced or new. So always refer back to your policies if you don't know. Like I said, your charge nurses, your managers, experienced nurses on the unit that are like nurse leaders, or, you know, sometimes they fill in as charge because usually they'll know the way of the unit. They'll know the way of kind of the specialty that you guys do it at your facility. So definitely use that as a resource. Google is a good resource, but use your nurse judgment if you're going to use Google, because it can steer you wrong just like it steers patients wrong. In a lot of facilities, you're not going to know every single med. So they have like a med resource. I know micromedics. There's one that we use at my hospital. I just can't remember the name of it right now. But at my last job, they use micromedics, and it will tell you everything you need to know about a med, the indications, the contraindications, what population is used in, different things like that that can help you. And then even conditions, if you're not familiar with that, or a lot of conditions, or just a condition that your patient has, definitely look it up. I guarantee you've probably seen it in one of your nursing textbooks or your nursing lectures. You just don't remember it right now, and that's fine. But definitely use your resources. Don't just go into something blind. A third tip, and I don't know if you necessarily call it a tip, but it's definitely something that you should know. Workplace bullying, especially as a nurse, is real. I feel like it may be due to the fact that nursing is a mostly female profession. You're gonna have some cattiness, you're gonna have some clickiness, and then you're also just gonna have, like, I guess in nursing school they like to call it like lateral bullying or whatever you want to call it. And that's because a lot of times, and not to like rag on experienced nurses, but a lot of times experienced nurses will kind of, in a way, look down on new nurses because they're not as experienced. And a lot of nurses now went to nursing school during COVID, so we don't have as many clinical hours as they did, where there wasn't any, you know, obstacles into going into the clinical sites. So they may have more hands-on experience. They may have came in more ready than we have just because of that. But you know, it's still no excuse to kind of rag on the new nurses when new nurses are also feeling a need that the new nurses also need help with as a facility, and just like as a unit or whatever, they also needed that help. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. But it is very real. If you experience it, I would definitely say to report it to like your charge nurse or your manager so that you can get it handled. I wouldn't necessarily say like confront the person. Of course, like defend yourself or whatever, but don't start a confrontation that can interfere with your job or your position, because it's just not worth it. Also too, I just want to hit on the fact that not everyone has the best intentions for you. Even though they may be more experienced, they may not have the best intentions. So sometimes, like in my last job, I definitely felt as though I was being broken in, or I was being kind of hazed in a way because I was a new nurse. And I had people on the unit also tell me that like they do this to everyone, you know, and it doesn't make it right, but it's just something that when I knew that, I didn't feel as targeted. And I just knew, I felt like I had to figure out a way to navigate it rather than just sitting in pity for myself. But definitely let a superior know what you're going through and to try to get the situation stopped. My next tip is you will need a support system. It is hard being a nurse. It is hard emotionally. It's hard physically. It's hard mentally. There's a lot of struggles in nursing that nurses deal with that we aren't able to talk to everyone about due to HIPAA reasons, due to people feeling like we chose this profession, which we did, but also someone has to do the profession. So that's not an excuse, but people feel like we chose the profession, so they don't have a sense of compassion necessarily for nurses. So I would say definitely have someone that you're close to, whether it's a coworker, a friend in healthcare, your mom, your dad, family, whatever, that can help you and be someone that you can vent to safely, and that will support you and your feelings, and also help you in those times. Because like I remember my first cold situation, I definitely needed help. As I was saying, you will need someone that you can vent to safely without them, you know, maybe reporting it to your job or holding it against you. Like you may be incompetent to do your job, because you definitely are competent, but you know, people just stir things the wrong way. They take it the wrong way. And like the internet is not always a safe place for nurses, as we see in like on TikTok and different other things where nurses are seen to be like not human. Like we don't have struggles, we don't have things that we don't like about our job, we don't have you know, troubles that we go through as well. So I don't get why it's like that, but whatever. But yes, definitely have a support system that you can count on. Have someone that you can go to in your time of need. Have outlets that help you take your mind off work, and whether that be exercise or some other hobby that you have, definitely use that as a resource to get you through mentally, physically, all of that as a nurse. Another tip that I have that may be one of the most important on this list is, if possible, choose a specialty that you want to be in right off the bat. You do not have to go into med surg. You do not have to work with adults if you don't want to. You don't have to work with kids if you don't want to. You don't even have to work in a hospital if you don't want to. If that's not what you want to do, you're gonna hate your job. You're gonna hate being a nurse, and you're gonna resent it, and it may affect your work performance. It may affect your mental health. It may affect you in every way that you can think of, because you're gonna hate going to your job because that's not what you really wanted. So I would say, if possible, whether that include relocating if you can, or seeking out different places that aren't maybe a hospital, other types of facilities that help you get into what you want. I see a lot of nurses now going into aesthetics immediately, and if that's what you want to do, definitely do that. You do not have to have hospital skills or bedside skills if that's not what you want to do. If you want to work with a child population like in the NICU, or you want to be a newborn nurse in mother baby, or you want to be a pediatric nurse of whatever kind, definitely strive for that. And even if you have to take a job like I did with adults, for the sake of needing a job and needing money and for financial reasons, never stop looking for that job that you actually want, because like I said, you will hate your job, and it's not impossible. You're not stuck just because you chose that job. In nursing, you can switch specialties whenever you'd like. You can work for med-surg for 20 years and then go become a PICU nurse if you really want to. You can even step outside of bedside, go back to bedside. You can work in an office and then go bedside. However you want to do it, the possibilities are endless when you are a nurse. This career field is very like flexible, and ultimately you can do kind of what works for you. So I would say definitely do that. It just helps with like your job satisfaction, all of that good stuff. You don't want to be miserable. Being a nurse is hard enough. You don't want to be miserable because you don't like your specialty on top of that. Also, in your daily work, try to be as organized as possible. Manage your time, because if not, your shift is gonna be hard. Like, I don't care what kind of patients you have. If you are not organized, if you cannot manage your time and prioritize, you know, like those questions you had in nursing school, prioritizing what needs to be done first, what is emergent versus what can wait, your shift is gonna be hard. And as a nurse, everyone knows that nurse that is constantly like running around. She never knows, you know, like she's like a chicken with her head cut off, because it's just not organized. Or she may struggle with that. He or she may struggle with that time management. What I like to do is write the things that I need to do down. I will try to sometimes put a time by it, or mentally have a time stamp where I need to do those things. I will try to have it done by that time so that I can get off on time, because I need to go to sleep and I value my sleep. I will also try to get things done as quick as I can, not rushing my patient care, but I will try to get things done in a timely manner. I'm not gonna wait until the end of the shift, and I'm not gonna do everything at the beginning of the shift, because then my shift is going to drag. And also, I don't wanna have that big rush in the beginning of the shift, because there's gonna be a lot more going on. People aren't as settled in the beginning of the shift because of shift change and that time period where they haven't seen anyone. So it's not going to be all together. It's gonna make your job harder if you try to do everything at the beginning, and you'll never get off on time. And day shift or whatever incoming shift is gonna be upset with you when they come in the morning and you still have not had all your stuff done at the end of the shift. And now, more than likely, it's gonna fall on them. So to save you and your coworkers, try to be as organized as possible. If you are about to start nursing and you know you're not the most organized person, try to get that in order, because that's one of the main things of being a nurse, on top of like your knowledge and your skills or whatever. Time management, very important. Last but not least, you will be fine. You're gonna be nervous, as I said. You're not gonna know anything, As I said, you're not gonna know anyone probably, or you may know 1 or 2 people, but the unit is gonna be new to you. Specialty is gonna be new to you. Nursing is gonna be new to you, but you will get it. Just like you got through nursing school, you will be fine. You will get through nursing. And ultimately, if you're not fine, if it's not for you, that is okay. You can switch to work with something that is better for you. There are nurses that work from home, that work remotely, that don't even have to deal with face-to-face patient care. They don't have to deal face-to-face with coworkers. So no matter what, you will be fine. And just know that you will learn, you will get acquainted with the unit, you will gain that experience, and you will feel more competent over time. There have been so many times where I think about when I first started and I did not know anything, and now how I feel as a nurse with more experience, not the most experience, but I have more experience. And I have times where I feel like, hey, like I'm really doing this. Like I'm that girl, I'm that nurse, I'm doing it. Like you can't tell me anything because I'm doing it. And I know where I started from, I know where I came from. I know how I felt in nursing school. Like there's too much to learn. Like I'll never be able to learn all of this and be a good nurse, but you will. So that's where I want to end this video. If you enjoyed these tips and you want to see more, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to comment any questions you might have. Connect with me on my socials. Watch some of my old videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one.